Honourable members, let us pray. Lord, the God of righteousness and truth, grant to our King and his government, to members of the Legislative Assembly, and to all in positions of responsibility, the guidance of your Spirit. May they never lead the province wrongly through love of power, desire to please, or unworthy ideals, but laying aside all private interests and prejudices, keep in mind their responsibility to seek to improve the condition of all. Amen. Honourable members, we will now be led in the singing of our national anthem by Mr. Sidney Manning. I invite all to participate in the language of their choice.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee ride, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
We don't always get an applause after the national anthem, so that's a good thing. Honourable members, the land acknowledgement. The Legislative Assembly is grateful to be situated upon Treaty 6 territory. This land has been the traditional region of the Métis people of Alberta, the Inuit, and the ancestral territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Iroquois, and Nakota Sioux people. The recognition of our history on this land is an act of reconciliation, and we honour those who walk with us. We also acknowledge that the province of Alberta exists within treaties number 4, number 7, number 8, and number 10 territories in the Métis Nation of Alberta. Please be seated.
Introduction of visitors. Introduction of guests.
Be seated. Honourable members, seated in the members' gallery today are representatives of the Maja People's Association. For 22 years, this volunteer organization has supported Albertans with roots in the Maja region of Punjab, the heartland that includes Amritsar and the Golden Temple. Their annual banquet reinforces the strong bonds of Alberta's Majals and supports the integration of newcomers to Alberta. Their work is sustained entirely through volunteer effort and donations from local businesses. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Harpinder Sandhu, Harjeet Sandhu, Satwinder Kaloon, Lar Pinder, Jasbir Singh Gill, Sukraj Rai, Razpal Kara, and Amrik Rajan Hadran. I apologize. Please rise and receive the warm welcome of this assembly. School group, starting with the honourable member for St. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce to you and through you 50 grade 6 students from Muriel and Martin. I will have them all stand and have everyone join me in welcoming them to the Assembly.
Edmonton Riverview.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I introduce to you and through you to all members of the Assembly 36 grade 6 students from Rio Terrace Elementary School, along with their teacher, Andrea Bluto. Please have them rise and receive the warm welcome of the Assembly.
And Camrose.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure to rise today and introduce to you and through you members of this Assembly, a dedicated group of teachers from the Guadalajara Language School of GGAC, representing the vibrant Gujarati community from India, one of the fastest growing diasporas in Alberta. Their community to teaching language helps preserve culture, heritage, and keeps the next generation connected to their Indian roots while contributing to life in Alberta. I would request that they stand and please accept the traditional warm welcome of the children.
Other guests, Edmonton Southwest.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my pleasure to introduce to you and through you the President of the North China Canada Business Association, Mr. Bao Wei Zhang, along with members Yan Xie, Mackenzie Guo, and local entrepreneur Gina Tsai. This is Mr. Zhang's second visit to Alberta, and the association is committed to strengthening intercultural exchange and trade between Alberta and China. Please rise and receive the warm welcome of the Assembly.
And Red Deer South.
Mr. Speaker, today is another good day in Alberta. I introduce the Garve Gu Jarat Association of Canada, a most excellent organization celebrating India heritage in Alberta, including a very fun super-duper event at the Butter Dome. Please rise and receive the warm welcome of the Assembly.
Calgary Falcon Ridge.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to introduce to you and through you to all members of the Assembly, Singh Sahib, Gyani Baljit Singh Ji, the Honourable and highly respected Head Priest of Sri Harmandir Sahib Golden Temple in Amritsar, Punjab. Also has graced us as a guest here in Alberta, accompanied with the new Management Committee of the Shmish Culture Centre. I ask that they rise to receive the warm welcome of the Assembly.
Are there other introductions? Seeing none.
Ministerial statements, member statements.
The member for Calgary Lockheed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Alberta has done it again. For the third time since June, Alberta has led job growth across the nation, making headlines as the best place to live, work, and raise a family. Unlike the opposition, we realize it's not government that creates jobs, but businesses, both big and small. That's why we take our mandate seriously to make Alberta the most business-friendly province through low taxes, cutting red tape, and training a workforce ready to take on the jobs of tomorrow. Last month alone, Alberta created nearly 29,000 jobs, over half of Canada's total job gains. In September, we drove growth even further with more than 42,000 new jobs, making up over two-thirds of Canada's job creation. And again in June, Alberta led the country with 30,000 new jobs. Mr. Speaker, this is no accident. It is directly related to our government advertising Alberta to the world, making sure they know we're open for business. But the good news does not stop there. Our unemployment rate dropped last month a whopping 1.3%, and almost 2 full points since August, the fastest, biggest dip seen in Alberta's recorded history. Youth unemployment has come down almost 7% since July, showing clear signs our job market catching up with population growth. This comes after the creation of our youth hiring incentive and our ongoing work to fight against immigration that oversaturates the job market with entry-level workers. Remarkably, Alberta makes up half of Canada's job growth for youth since 2019. Mr. Speaker, Alberta has always been and will continue to be the place for Canadians to get ahead, saying no to policies that stop investment, increasing house prices, and shut down economic prosperity. 330,000 new jobs since 2019, Mr. Speaker. We're just getting started. Thank you.
Edmonton City Centre.
With Bill 14, the UCP say they're the only provincial party that can call themselves conservative, which is ironic because they're not. Conservatives believe in the rule of law, but the UCP think they're above it. Led by a premier who tried to interfere in a criminal case, they pass laws to strip charter rights, interfere in court cases, and do favours for their friends and supporters, enforcing laws that serve themselves and ignoring ones that don't. They even think they're above the courts, because while conservatives respect institutions, the UCP tears them down. Public health care, education, social services, municipal government, Charter of Rights and Freedoms, just grist for the mill, dusty relics to strip for parts to build a shiny new idol in the Premier's image, and every public servant and institution better bend their knee. Because while Conservatives believe in smaller government, the UCP likes it big. Over 2/3 of their caucus and cabinet, the biggest in Alberta's history. 4 times the number of ministers, managers and bureaucrats in healthcare, countless new agencies cutting bloated contracts they hide from the public behind abuse of information law and NDAs, and intruding into every part of our lives. Because while Conservatives believe in decentralizing power, local decision-making, the UCP like to hoard it for themselves. They want to be the final word on everything, every decision made, every dollar spent, micromanagers seizing power to make decisions in your doctor's office, workplace, city council, and local streets. But their biggest fail? Conservatives believe in fiscal responsibility, respecting tax dollars and controlling spending. The UCP don't. Under this Premier, they've increased spending twice as fast as we did, with a growing deficit to boot, despite having 3 times the royalty revenue, with no benefit for Albertans, just billions blown on half-baked schemes that reward their friends while undermining the services we pay for and depend on. Albertans deserve better than a government of unprincipled, petulant populists cosplaying as Conservatives. They deserve an ethical, competent government that respects Albertans and the institutions they depend on, and Alberta's New Democrats are ready.
Lacombe Pinoca.
Mr. Speaker, Albertans across our province are preparing to celebrate one of the most cherished times of the year, Christmas. As we approach, it's important to reflect on the blessings we enjoy as Albertans and the values that have shaped our province. This season is a time of generosity and an opportunity for us to reflect. Around Alberta, and especially constituencies like Lacombe Pinoca, values like community and compassion are the core driving factors that unite our neighbours. These values are foundational in Christianity, and they have very clearly shaped Albertans and the institutions that they rely on. This month of December is particularly important because it is in this month that we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. A birth that was felt around the world. His birth is known to be the main influence of even the Gregorian calendar, the calendar we still use internationally today. Jesus Christ's love for us is something we don't deserve, yet it's forever enduring and welcoming for all. Jesus invites us to be peacemakers, to seek forgiveness, to learn to forgive, and to be a blessing to our families. Mr. Speaker, Christmas is more than a festive season. It's a time to reflect on gratitude, family, and the spirit of giving. It reminds us of the enduring values that unite us and the importance of serving others in that spirit. As we all head to our homes around the province and unwind from the hard work of this legislative session, I hope each of you finds the time to give back and spread joy. As we celebrate this season, let's remember the blessings we share, which are freedom, opportunity, community, and family. May this Christmas inspire us all to extend kindness, foster understanding, and to work together for the common good. To all Albertans and my colleagues, I wish everyone a joyful and Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Calgary Northeast.
Checks dismantled, safeguards ignored, democracy threatened. 2022, the Premier claimed to be in touch with the Crown prosecutors and then retracted her claim when she was criticized for exceeding her authority. 2023, Premier breached the conflict of interest laws while attempting to interfere in the justice system to help street pastor Arthur Pulwoski with his criminal charges. 2025, the UCP government under this Premier now introduces a law to force Elections Alberta to withdraw its reference to the court under the Citizen Initiative Act. The legislature doesn't work when representatives are silenced. It works when they are empowered to do their job. Democracy doesn't work when politicians are power-hungry. It works when there are proper checks and balances. The justice system doesn't work when politicians meddle. It works when it is independent to do what is right, not what's convenient. Rule of law is essential to a functioning democracy. It's like train tracks that keeps all branches of government on their tracks to ensure none of them wander off the rails and collide. With Bill 14, the UCP government has gone off the rails and on a path to collision. On Friday, Justice Colin Feasby said, and I quote, "Legislating to preemptively end this court proceeding disrespects the administration of justice." Mr. Speaker, when a government grabs the power that it was never meant to claim, when checks and balances are treated like a political game, when the rule of law is bent to serve only the UCP's name, Mr. Speaker, that is shame, shame, and shame.
The honourable member for Camrose.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Copper theft has become a growing issue in my Camrose constituency. Just this past month, the Friends of Battle River Rail in Forestburg were the targets of copper wire theft, forcing them to cancel their annual Christmas market. This type of story has become all too common, not only in my constituency, but across Alberta. Thieves will steal copper and other precious metals wherever they can be found, quickly reselling them to unscrupulous buyers, and won't question where it came from. Ottawa has repeatedly passed legislation that rewards criminals and punishes victims. As quickly as crimes are brought in, they're released back into the streets to wreak havoc in the name of woke moral posturing. This is why Alberta's government has made amendments to the Scrap Metal Dealers and Recycling Identification Act to make it easier for law enforcement to target the theft and trafficking of illicit scrap metal, quickly bringing offenders to justice. This bill expands existing reporting requirements to include business-to-business sales and ensure that law enforcement officers have the information needed to monitor transactions, identify suspicious activity, and trace stolen property, such as catalytic converters. Law enforcement agencies across Alberta can enforce and investigate violations under the Act. Regulatory changes made by Alberta's government streamline enforcement by making it easier and faster to charge those who violate the Act and make more effective use of their court resources. In Alberta, we have a strong, united Conservative government that believes in law and order. So the Friends of Battle River Rail and all other Albertans who've been the victims of theft and other crimes, we hear you. We hear that you're fed up with this status quo, and we're doing all that we can to stand up for you and your families, because that is the right thing to do. Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear. The honourable member for Calgary Mountain View.
Alberta's minimum wage earners are the lowest paid in all the land. But 7 years without a raise, and the UCP still can't hear their pleas. Or maybe they just can't hear them over the sound of their own pleas for supports, because they certainly rushed to give their own parliamentary secretaries a raise. You might call this government out of touch, but of course, they rushed to work on Albertans' costs, except they're raising insurance by 15%, charging Granny more for her medication, and refusing to even look at grocery costs probably wasn't the actions that struggling Albertans were looking for. They raised their own living allowance by hundreds a month while rejecting action on anyone else's rent. Well, except, of course, AISH recipients whose rents they raised. There's not a dime for public school students struggling in overcrowded classrooms. You see, the UCP had to violate those teachers' rights. A fair hearing on the matter might have cost them too much. Disabled Albertans already struggling to get by? Well, they just had to roll them back because there isn't a penny to be found. Except, of course, for the hundreds of millions to start their own politically motivated police force. So while Albertans struggle, this UCP government lives high. Plenty of money for themselves, for contracts for insiders, for vanity separatist projects. Insurance companies sure need a raise, but Albertans, well, seems there's nothing left. You see, this UCP government isn't any more broke than Ebenezer Scrooge was. While Albertans wait outside in the cold, see no action on costs or wages, the UCP members find a way to give themselves raises. Maybe this government is waiting for a visit from the three ghosts to help them see the world as it is, but that's not what Albertans are waiting for. They're waiting for a new government.
Honourable members, it is 1:50, which makes it time for oral question period, and the first question belongs to the Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this government finds itself in an interesting political quandary. Legislation currently before this House attempts to preemptively end a court action which has already concluded. The Premier responded by railing against, quote, unelected judges and the courts in general. She used to talk about inalienable rights that cannot be taken away by any government, and now she rails against the courts. Does the Premier believe her government is the sole arbiter of what is constitutional, or do the courts have any role?
The Honourable Premier.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Citizen initiative is meant to be permissive. It's meant to allow for citizens to identify an issue that they can get a collection of their fellow citizens to come together to put it on a ballot so that it can be voted on. It is not meant to have gatekeepers. And we don't want to see a gatekeeper in the Chief Electoral Officer. We don't want to see a gatekeeper in the court either. Mr. Speaker, we are the elected representatives. We make the decisions. We are a parliamentary democracy. That's in Law 101. Maybe the former professor didn't take that course. We do not have court supremacy, Mr. Speaker. It's parliamentary supremacy.
The Honourable Leader.
Well, that was certainly a novel reading of the entire legal traditions of Canada under the Canadian Constitution, because it's not true. The Premier talks about gatekeepers. She rails against a whole pile of gatekeepers standing in the way of her personal agenda. I don't call it gatekeepers, I call it the rule of law. In the Wildrose era, the Premier said referenda, quote, must be deemed constitutional by a justice of the court. Only a separatist government would throw away the constitutionality of a question meant to break up the country. Could the Premier please pick a side? Does she believe the courts have any role at all?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Of course, our Constitution includes the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and includes a notwithstanding clause, which asserts that the parliamentary supremacy remains supreme in our system. We actually do have the power to make the decision in the interest of preserving democracy. In this case, the citizen-initiated referenda law was meant to be permissive. We had anticipated that the Chief Electoral Officer would take it in that spirit. It's turned out that there have been several things that have been referred to the court. There have been several things that have been delayed. We want to make sure that these kinds of initiatives can be put forward without the gatekeepers, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Leader.
I wonder if the Premier really understands what she just said. What she just said is she will use the notwithstanding clause at any time to overrule anything the courts don't want us to do. That is not the point of the notwithstanding clause. That's not what her own ministers have been saying about it. Now, she seems to say that it doesn't matter if something is constitutional if the people want it. Let's play that through. If she allows an unconstitutional referendum question to go through and it passes, but then you can't do anything about it because it's unconstitutional, the whole process is a sham. Why would the Premier want to vote on people to vote on something that's a sham?
Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is not for us on this side to judge what might be of interest and importance to citizens. That's for them to decide, for them to get the requisite number of signatures. What's incumbent upon us is if they are successful in getting the number of signatures, and it goes to a vote, and a majority of Albertans want it, then it's up to us to implement that in a way that is constitutional. That's how it's supposed to work, Mr. Speaker. You can't even get to that point if you have gatekeepers who won't even allow citizens who are well-meaning to ask the question in the first place.
For the second set of questions, the Leader of the Official Opposition.
Once again, the Premier's answer there is deeply troubling, because she's essentially saying that she will go around the courts if that's what people want her to do or if that's what she wants to do. And this government's continued attacks on the judiciary and on the legal profession are equally troubling. The Premier's now adopted American-style rhetoric about unelected judges appointed by her political enemies. Where is the government going with this? Are they in favour of electing judges now? Or are judges appointed by Conservative politicians okay? Or does the government believe that there is no role for the judiciary here?
Yeah.
Honourable Premier.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've seen some troubling judgments that have come out of the courts in recent months. For instance, the issue around striking down minimum sentencing in the case of possession of child pornography. That was a very troubling decision that came down. There was a split decision, incidentally, Mr. Speaker, 5-4, with the 5 judges who are in favour of that being recent Trudeau appointees. We also recently saw an upending of private property rights in British Columbia, once again, because of a single judge has put into question a long-standing principle going back to the Magna Carta. Mr. Speaker, this is what we're concerned about when we talk about judicial activism.
Honourable Leader.
This kind of rhetoric has very real consequences. And if the Premier is not willing to back up her rhetoric, then all she's doing is engaging in rage and grievance politics. Yes. And she's attacking the very foundations of our legal system. In particular, the attacks on the Law Society and the Alberta Law Foundation this session are unprecedented. And I'm tempted to ask, why does the government hate lawyers so much? But I think I know why. It's because they don't like anyone who may preserve any authority over their unbridled use of power. Why is this government attempting to muzzle anyone who has a different point of view or criticizes them?
The Honourable Premier.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I would invite the member opposite to look at the professional organizations over the last 10 years or so and see how they have gone well beyond managing professional conduct of their members. The professional associations have self-regulatory power because they're to look at misconduct on the part of their members, not whether or not they violated some speech code or refused to take some kind of woke training devised by the members opposite. This is what we're doing, is getting all of the professional associations, including the Law Society, back in its own lane and making sure that the clients are protected.
Right. The member.
I thank the Premier for answering these questions today because her answers have been incredibly enlightening. She just said, basically, that people can't be trusted to manage themselves, only the government can do it for them. Yeah. This is pure Conservative politics from the UCP. Yeah. You know, I was a professor of nonprofit management, and the rule for nonprofits is that they are owned and managed by their members. I have never seen a government make such a power grab against independent nonprofits as they've done with the Alberta Law Foundation. Why does the government feel that the minister should make directives, bylaws, and run a foundation, not its members? Yeah.
Premier.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think I'm saying the exact opposite of what the member opposite said. What I am saying is that individual professionals should be allowed to go onto Twitter and Facebook and comment on things that have nothing to do with their profession without being punished by an overreaching professional body, as we have seen time and time again. We call it the Peterson Law for a reason, because we don't believe that there should be mandatory training on right-think because somebody goes online and makes it a political opinion. Well, no, this should be about protecting the clients of that individual and professional conduct, Mr. Speaker.
The third set of questions belong to the Leader of the Official Opposition.
So the Premier has just told us the only one who can punish individuals is the Premier. Yeah. That's right. And by the way, she just confirmed what her Minister of Justice would not, that under this law, the Law Society will not be able to offer mandatory Indigenous training, right, despite Indigenous people being overrepresented in the population. But you know what? Like a baker hiding raisins in butter tarts, this government has hidden bad things in Bill 14. It's one of the most anti-democratic statutes I've ever seen. It gives all Attorneys General of Alberta in history immunity. And of course, 3 Conservative Justice Ministers in a row have been sanctioned. So why do it now?
Honourable Premier.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Attorney General of this province answers to the people of Alberta, not the Law Society. And we want to ensure that the Law Society is not going to engage in any additional politically motivated, targeted attacks against someone who has served this province so well. This is the kind of approach they take in Ontario. It's not an unusual approach, Mr. Speaker. We're just going to have the same legislation in place that they have there.
Member.
Like a slice of pineapple ruining a decent slice of innocent pizza, this provision only makes a bad bill even worse. Look, we know that the Minister of Justice is Sam Maraish's best friend and travel buddy. He's refused to table receipts from his Florida trip. We don't know the details of his relationship with Sam Maraish. And in the end, we don't know what is happening here or why this legislation is needed. So can the Premier tell Albertans exactly how many complaints relating to her Justice Minister are before the Law Society right now?
Hear, hear.
Premier.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know the members opposite love to engage in conspiracy theories about what may not be in newspapers from a particular outlet, but I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, the reason they're doing that is they don't want to talk about what's happening in this province. It messes with their narrative. They keep on talking down Alberta rather than talking it up. Why hasn't the member opposite stood with us in asking?
Let's make sure that we can hear the person we are supposed to hear at the time.
Why hasn't the members opposite stood with us in asking for the bitumen pipeline to the northwest BC coast? Why doesn't he call his leader, Don Davies, and encourage him to vote in favour of the MOU when it goes towards the House of Commons tomorrow?
Member.
Mr. Speaker, we have officially entered the upside down. When the Premier and her love for chemtrails and anti-vax conspiracy theories calls other people conspiracy theorists. So the real question is, if there are no complaints against the minister, why do we need this legislation? What is the government expecting to come? What have Albertans not been told about the conduct of this Attorney General? And why should members of this government, and only this government and their supporters, not have to abide by the rule of law?
A point of order is noted at 2 o'clock. The Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Continued conspiracy theories. They're not talking about government policy, and the reason they're not talking about government policy is they want to avoid talking about the MOU that we recently signed with the federal government. There is a vote in the legislature tomorrow in the federal parliament. Has the member opposite called any of the candidates for leadership of that party to see if they will support the MOU? Has he called Avi Lewis? Has he called Heather McPherson? Has he called David Eby? He doesn't appear to be wanting to stand up for Alberta. I'm asking him the question. Why not, Mr. Speaker?
Hear, hear. The fourth set of questions belong to the member for Edmonton Millwoods.
Mr. Speaker, the public expects and deserves for their tax dollars to be spent ethically. Justice Wyant found that did not happen as part of his limited review of the Corrupt Care scandal. The public expects that contracts must be properly sent to tender. Justice Wyant didn't find that either. And the public should know who in the Premier's office had their hands all over this. Justice Wyant couldn't determine that. Albertans don't trust this government with their healthcare system for good reason. When will the government call a full public inquiry?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Judge Wyant did, in fact, conduct an exhaustive and independent review of AHS procurement, interviewing dozens of witnesses, Mr. Speaker, reviewing more than 2.25 million records, Mr. Speaker. His investigation confirms what this government has said all along. There was no evidence of any improper conduct by any member of government, any staffer, anybody in the public service, Mr. Speaker. The reality is that the member opposite simply will not accept Judge Wyant's reports, no matter what they are.
Right.
Honourable member.
What the minister doesn't say is that Justice Wyant was given an intentionally restrictive scope in his report and that he signalled that he could not investigate all aspects. The government gave private surgical centre with bloated prices another contract extension even after Judge Wyant found Jitendra Prasad was working for both sides of the deal and after we found out that Mr. Prasad was also involved with the Premier's leadership bid. Wow. Why won't this government finally admit they need a full public inquiry to clear the air on all of this? The Wyant report does not clear them.
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of Hospitals.
As the members opposite are aware, the ASG Edmonton facility was a bridge contract to provide surgeries while the RFP'd Enoch surgical facility is finished construction. Unfortunately, there have been delays in the construction of that facility. It's now set to open in the summer or fall of 2026.
So, of course, we didn't want 4,000 surgeries to be cancelled in between now and then. But, Mr. Speaker, I believe that ASG contract should have been initially RFP'd. So to make it fair, we're going to open up the same surgeries at the same prices to all providers in the Edmonton zone this month.
Edmonton Millwoods.
After sweeping corruption under the rug, the government is also funding a recovery centre that operates out of a building owned by Sam Raish. The company they gave this contract to didn't even exist 3 months before they got $70 million taxpayer dollars. We've asked and the Premier has never answered if she was briefed by her former Chief of Staff on how strange that coincidence of players was. Justice Wyant couldn't look into any of this. It was outside of the restrictive scope he was given. Why won't the Premier do the right thing and call a full public inquiry?
Bravo. The Honourable Minister of Assisted Living and Social Services.
Goes the NDP again, Mr. Speaker, going after the Métis Nation, who's working to care for homeless people in our province, Mr. Speaker. What was interesting this week, Mr. Speaker, is reporting in the Globe and Mail that showed that Sam Raish has donated more to the NDP when they were in power than to this side of the House, Mr. Speaker. So at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, is it that side of the House projecting what they were doing when they were in power, Mr. Speaker? That's quite alarming. That's likely why we had to fix the entire procurement system when we took over, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, we are now at the point where there are no preambles on the supplementaries, and the question 5 belongs to Calgary Boular McCall.
Mr. Speaker, the UCP government has a terrible relationship with the rule of law. Bill 14 will end a court reference on the constitutionality of citizen initiative for Alberta's separation from Canada. However, the court already heard the case, and Justice Feasby has released the court decision which noted, and I quote, legislating an end to litigation is extraordinary, end quote. This goes against the rule of law. Will the Justice Minister explain what possible justification this government has for this extraordinary step?
Yeah.
Good question.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the justification is that we're opening the Citizen Initiative Act to all Albertans. I realize that the members opposite do not like that, Mr. Speaker, when Albertans participate in direct democracy. But the reality is that the amendments in Bill 14 will clearly open up the opportunity for any Albertan to bring a question of importance to the people of Alberta, Mr. Speaker. That is direct democracy operating exactly as it should. That's what the Citizen Initiative Act was intended to do, Mr. Speaker. And we value the contributions of Albertans.
Honourable member.
Given that Justice Feasby concluded, and I quote, the Citizen Initiative Act did not give citizens the power to initiate a referendum on the question of independence from Canada, end quote. And given this decision clarifies that any question of Alberta's separation from Canada violates the Charter, Treaty and Indigenous rights that are recognized and affirmed by our Constitution. Why won't the government respect the court decision as well as Treaty and Indigenous rights and abandon Bill 14?
Yep, good question.
Honourable Minister.
Speaker, we'll do no such thing. The Citizen Initiative Act is important to Albertans, Mr. Speaker. It doesn't matter what members of the government nor members of the opposition think about a particular question. The process needs to allow diverse voices from all Albertans to contribute to a democracy here. That's what the Citizen Initiative Act is all about, Mr. Speaker. If those that are seeking to have a question put on the ballot believe they have the support for it, they should be entitled to have that question put to Albertans.
Honourable member.
Given that the court said this last-minute change after everyone, including Election Alberta, expedited their participation is, quote, contrary to the rule of law, end quote, and given that the court also called out Alberta's cavalier disrespect for the process and the lack of respect for First Nation who intervened in the case and said that is, quote, disappointing to say the least. Yeah. Will the government respect the rule of law, stop acting as if they are above the law, and kill Bill 14?
Yes.
The The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Speaker. Look, the separation of powers is an important constitutional principle. The Assembly has been elected by the people of Alberta to debate and pass legislation that's in the public interest, Mr. Speaker. That member doesn't like the citizen initiative process. Fine, that's up to him. But the fact of the matter is, Mr. Speaker, Albertans deserve the opportunity to be able to put questions of importance before the people of Alberta. Just because the member doesn't like the particular question doesn't mean that we won't allow it to happen.
A point of order is noted at 2:09. The next question belongs to the member for Grand Prairie Wapiti.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Alberta is literally in a league of its own. Yes. Those are the words of BMO's chief economist talking about our rapid creation of 42,500 jobs in September. Wow. And guess what, Mr. Speaker? We did it again, leading the nation last month with nearly 29,000 new jobs. To the Minister of Jobs, Economy, Trade and Immigration, what message does this job growth send to our neighbours, friends in other Canadian provinces?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, 'tis the season for great news. Alberta has led Canada job growth 3 out of the past 6 months. Canada needs a strong Alberta. 81,000 jobs created in the past 3 months and 100,005 jobs created since last year are an obvious example, Mr. Speaker, of why Alberta deserves respect in Confederation. Jobs added in other provinces last month were mostly part-time, Mr. Speaker, whereas here in Alberta they were full-time. These are grocery-buying, mortgage-paying jobs. When other provinces struggle, Alberta continues to thrive.
Honourable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given that youth unemployment has been a major challenge for every province in Canada, thanks to the unchecked immigration policies of the Trudeau Liberals, and given Alberta's rapid population growth created a unique pressure for entry-level workers, leaving many Albertan youth struggling to find their first job. To the same minister, what policy or action have you taken to bring youth unemployment down nearly 7 points between July and November of this year?
Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Not only has Alberta introduced the youth hiring incentive, we've also fought hard for better immigration that works for all Albertans and Canadians. The NDP hate to hear it, Mr. Speaker, but Alberta has created half of all jobs for youth in Canada since 2019, Mr. Speaker. That's real success. For young people that are fleeing other provinces that are too expensive, they're moving to Alberta for more opportunity. The youth are seeing the future in Alberta of owning a home, having a great career, Mr. Speaker. We are finally seeing a job market catch up. And, Mr. Speaker, it's great news. I wish the members opposite would take heed.
Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given our government has taken major step forward in strengthening the economy by opening new doors to investment and job growth thanks to the MOU signed with Ottawa, and given that this means Canada is restoring its reputation as a great place to do business and gives Alberta the potential to be a global superpower, to the same minister, how does this MOU keep the momentum going for Alberta's economic prosperity and job growth?
The Minister for Jobs, Economy, Trade and Immigration.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank that member for these incredible questions. His constituents are well represented. We are just getting started in the province of Alberta. Every poll we've seen shows massive support for a pipeline to carry Alberta oil to the West Coast into Asian markets. Job growth and services like we saw last month is great news, Mr. Speaker, and I'm excited to see this happen in good producing manufacturing jobs, Mr. Speaker. The Premier and her leadership is unlocking deals and new potential for economic growth in Alberta. Everyone should be grateful. Why won't the NDP show some respect?
Next question belongs to the Honourable Member for Edmonton-Décour.
In late October, the province identified more than 450 probable measles cases. This would have brought our total cases count to nearly 2,500 measles cases. That means Alberta is the province with the largest number of cases in the country. This past June, the minister was told to update data standards to common national practices and report these probable measles cases. Why did the minister ignore this expert advice from her own officials?
The Honourable Minister for Preventative Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In fact, I need to correct the member opposite. It was in October that I received the request from the department to look at including probables, but by that time we were actually seeing negligible amounts of measles in the province. Mr. Speaker, we are using the same standards that we have used all along in terms of reporting that we have in years past. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, half of the provinces in Canada do not report probables.
Well, I'm going to get to you, but we're going to wait till everybody can hear you. Go ahead, Honourable Member.
Given the minister's own briefing notes obtained by the media stated, and I quote, expanding public reporting to include both confirmed and probable cases is the key step in maintaining transparency and keeping Albertans informed, end quote. And given this advice was ignored, and 3 months later, a child died of measles. Does the minister regret not taking this advice that would have demonstrated to Albertans the urgent need to get measles vaccinations on time?
The minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In fact, we took measles seriously from the very moment that we learned about it back in March, Mr. Speaker. Again, correcting the member opposite, I was not actually approached on the probable cases until the fall, October to be exact. The briefing note may have been written at a previous time, but I was not brought forward to me until the fall. So, Mr. Speaker, we have taken it seriously. We have added additional immunization. We have seen tremendous growth in immunization, and we encourage everyone to immunize against measles.
The Honourable Member.
Given that transparency about measles outbreaks is one of the only ways to curtail the spread of the disease, and given 2,500 cases are not negligible numbers, given that Alberta did not have permanent Chief Medical Officer of Health for 8 months with full autonomy to provide regular public health briefing to the public, why did the minister refuse to fill the Chief Medical Officer of Health position, reject the public health briefing recommendations, and underreport measles cases in the province?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. None of what was just said was accurate. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we have been looking diligently for a Chief Medical Officer of Health to replace an interim Medical Officer of Health who, in fact, Mr. Speaker, has been doing a very, very good job. In fact, we will be announcing, I believe, very soon a permanent Chief Medical Officer of Health. But that being said, we will continue to take measles seriously as we have all along. We converted information into 14 different languages to make sure we actually got to the people who needed it the most.
Next question belongs to Edmonton Goldbar.
Albertans deserve transparency and accountability from this government, but none is forthcoming. It's been nearly a year since the corrupt care scandal broke. For months, this government has been ducking and dodging questions around shady procurement practices and sweetheart deals for their cronies. And now they're doubling down by forcing American-style health care on Albertans. So a simple question for any of the health ministers. With so much alleged corruption and no answers in sight, how can Albertans trust this government to do anything to fix the broken health care system?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, the member from Edmonton Goldbar accused the Honourable Minister of Education of allowing a sex predator back onto the streets, insinuating that he had any direct involvement in that is despicable and disgusting. And until an apology is rendered, the government will no longer be taking questions from the member from Edmonton Goldbar.
Edmonton Goldbar.
Mr. Speaker, given that I stand by my statements that I made last week and no apology will be forthcoming ever, And given that this botched contract, which Albertans are still paying for, has not stopped this government from considering other SAMRAISH-affiliated companies from procurement contracts related to private surgical services, to the minister, why are the same names appearing over and over again on these contracts? How can Albertans trust that these processes are fair and above board?
Good question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The member from Edmonton Gold Bar has a history of making despicable, defamatory comments in this chamber that he's not apologized for. I believe that in the last week he crossed a line, and for that exact reason, until there's an apology, there will be no answers coming from the government to the member from Edmonton Gold Bar.
Given that the only people who deserve an apology are the parents of Willowbrae Academy, and they haven't gotten anything from this government, and to the minister, how extensive were the ties between the Premier's Chief of Staff and SAMRAISH, and how much did it impact government decisions on healthcare procurement?
Well, I didn't notice any connection between your third question and the first two, which is a problem. Minister?
Mr. Speaker, as I have said, given the nature of the comments from the member from Edmonton Gold Bar last week, the government will not be taking questions from that member going forward until an apology is offered. But, Mr. Speaker, I will say in closing my remarks,
Member?
I will say in closing, Mr. Speaker, that since 2019, when that member, the Minister of Education, was elected, he has served the people of Alberta and served this chamber diligently and deserves respect. And on this side of the House, we will stand behind that minister.
Next question belongs to the member for Olds, Didsbury, Three Hills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Alberta prides itself on utilizing technology and sustainability to meet the needs of food and security in Canada. However,
both sides, order. Carry on.
there is a rising opportunity to expand and become a value-add processing province as well, no longer exporting our commodities just to buy them back as consumer goods. To the Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation, how is the Government of Alberta supporting the farmers and ranchers to develop into value-add processors?
Great question.
The Honourable Member for Agriculture and Irrigation.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Alberta is leading the way in value-added processing, and that's because our government has created the best investment climate in all of North America. And because of that, we've seen a record agri-processing investment of almost $5 billion, which is bringing more and more processing home here to Alberta, diversifying our economy, growing our GDP. And, Mr. Speaker, with the lowest tax rate in Canada, you've got a recipe resulting in record investment, job creation, stronger supply chains, all of which helps battle food affordability for Alberta families and Canadians.
Minister, when the clock gets to zero, you need to stop talking. Honourable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you so much to the Minister for that answer. Given that our agricultural products, such as canola, wheat and barley, are internationally renowned, and given that businesses such as Parrish and Heimbecker are choosing Alberta over other provinces as the location they want to set up shop, to the same Minister, what programs, services and incentives are helping create Alberta's value as a prime location to do business in the value-add space?
That's a good question.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Alberta is a top choice for companies like P&H because we built a competitive, business-friendly environment for them to succeed. Through our agri-processing investment tax credit, streamlined approvals, capital supports, our lowest corporate tax rate, and, Mr. Speaker, we have the best farmers and ranchers in the world, all of which makes Alberta the best place to invest in the value-added space. Every new facility means stronger markets for our producers and more affordable Alberta locally made food products on store shelves right here at home.
The member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you again to the Minister for that excellent answer. Given that Alberta is continuing to attract record investments from businesses such as McCain into our rural communities, and further given that with these investments come high-paying jobs that rural Albertans deserve and are looking for so that they can stay in their local communities, to the same minister, what is our government doing to ensure that Albertans can continue to benefit from these investments and jobs?
The Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the member for the question. Investments from companies like McCain are a game changer for rural Alberta. These projects bring stable, high-paying jobs that keep families in their rural communities. They support local businesses, and they help to reverse rural decline. They also create additional opportunities in related sectors like construction and logistics, ensuring that the economic benefits ripple throughout the region and strengthen rural development here in Alberta for generations and generations to come.
Here, here. Wow. Next question belongs to the member for for Calgary Falconridge.
Mr. Speaker, Albertans are paying more for everything while getting less. And this government's answer is distraction over re-election. Families need relief, not excuses. Given utilities, insurances and grocery prices keep skyrocketing while wages stay stagnant, and given families are stretched to the breaking point, how can this government call its plan affordable? Is this government's plan to help Albertans or to keep them on life support while costs keep climbing?
The Honourable Minister for Affordabilities and Utilities.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. I'm very proud to be part of a government that takes an all-ministry approach to affordability to serve Albertans. It's why we brought forward a tax cut to make sure that every single working Albertan will receive $750 of their money back in their pocket every single year. We continue to do everything we can to make life more affordable. We're addressing utilities, we're addressing insurance, we're addressing food affordability. Every single minister comes to serve Albertans and put them first, making sure that their life continues to get better. That's why we see so many people from across Canada moving to Alberta.
Honourable member.
Given that families are drowning under skyrocketing costs, utilities, insurance and groceries, and given the government voted against studying shrinkflation and has taken no action to curb these prices, and given this government refuses to raise minimum wage while costs soar, and given 9 parliamentary secretaries are getting raises, which demonstrates real hypocrisy, when will the UCP government admit their agenda is failing families who feel abandoned during a cost of living crisis while the government rewards their own?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, that's why, again, we're seeking to make differences through every single ministry, making sure that access to health care is better, which is why we see more doctors working in Alberta than ever before. It's why we're settling with our biggest unions, making sure that we have more nurses than ever before, more teachers than ever before. We are putting an all-ministry attention on these issues, making sure that we come forward with tax cuts, making sure we come forward with affordability measures. We've seen utility prices come down 63% from their peak. We are correcting the failed opportunities and the failed messages of the NDP to make life better for Albertans.
Honourable member.
Given that Albertans are paying more for everything, auto insurance up 15%, home insurance quadrupling, sky-high utility bills, groceries more expensive day by day, and given this government cuts to sports like AISH, all while they waste hundreds of millions of Dynalife, Turkish Chaldal, coal contract payouts, and countless panels that lead nowhere. How can they call this affordability? In the new year, what more can Albertans expect from these ministries of unaffordability?
The Honourable Minister for Social Services.
Mr. Speaker, Alberta's government, the Conservative government, has raised AISH payments by 22% in 6 years, double the rate of inflation, Mr. Speaker. It's going to be $1,940 a month, almost $500 more than any other province in the country, Mr. Speaker. That member, when their party were in power, were paying $1,588, Mr. Speaker. So if they want to talk about investments and affordability and making life better for Albertans, Mr. Speaker, you're seeing this side of the House do it. The real question is, why did they not raise AISH when they were on the side of the House, not even by $1, Mr. Speaker?
Hear, hear. The member for Lac St. Anne Parkland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You know, we're blessed with an abundance of natural resources in the province, and the world wants what we produce and all that we can deliver. With recent signing of an MOU with the federal government, even the federal government has seen that when Alberta wins, the whole country does. Too bad the Leader of the Opposition can't figure that one out. There's lots of hard work to be done here to make this MOU a reality, to actually get our pipeline built to the West Coast. To the Minister of Energy and Minerals, what are the next steps for building the Northwest Coast Economic Corridor and that good old-fashioned pipeline?
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Minerals.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the hardworking member. This is one of the most important deals in Alberta's history. We are now working to get the project on the national projects list, Mr. Speaker. We're doing the pre-planning right now to act as the proponent to take steps on it. Key to this engagement, of course, is our partnership with Indigenous communities. This project will actually create tens of thousands of jobs, Mr. Speaker, billions of dollars of economic activity right across the province, the country. It's a great thing, Mr. Speaker. We've spent a decade fighting these bad policies from the Trudeau Liberals and the NDP from the other side, Mr. Speaker. There's no question this is the right thing to do for Albertans.
Thanks again, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to the Minister for the answer. Given the expanded capacity to get our products to Tidewater will be a game changer for the Albertan economy, providing stability in trading and opening up new markets, and quite frankly, everybody along that corridor heading to the coast, inclusive of BC. And further given, and further given the interest we're seeing from countries like India and further abroad in Asia to our oil and gas products and many other resources, to the same Minister, why is it so important to expand our energy exports to include countries like India?
The Honourable Minister.
Speaker, this is more important to the people of the world than people in Canada actually know. To India, to Asia, particularly China and Korea, Mr. Speaker, this could be a game changer. We have the closest port in Canada, in North America, to Asia, Mr. Speaker. It is a growing market in exponential ways. The U.S. is actually changing its views on tariffs, Mr. Speaker, which we are all sacrificed as a result of that. We need to change our ways, Mr. Speaker, and Canada's seeing that. We're on Team Canada. We're hoping the rest of Canada is on Team Canada, Mr. Speaker. Diversifying our markets, it's the right thing to do to Albertans and making us stronger and freer.
The Honourable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the Minister. Given the wealth that comes from these large projects, such as pipelines, it's important that all communities along the route to share in that wealth and benefit from this resource extraction for generations, Mr. Speaker. And further, given this government's dedication to improve the quality of life for all Indigenous peoples by encouraging job creation and investment, and that's for that 7-generation view again, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister, how will a pipeline to the Northwest Coast benefit Indigenous communities in Alberta and also in British Columbia?
Minister.
So much benefit to the people of northern BC and northern Alberta, Mr. Speaker. We've seen it with Cedar LNG, we've seen it with Solisum's LNG, Mr. Speaker. We know what's possible within our Indigenous partners. The Alberta Indigenous Opportunities Corporation, through the good leadership of the last Minister of Indigenous Affairs and this Minister, Mr. Speaker, are doing great things. $750 million in loan guarantees, Mr. Speaker, that create great opportunities and great projects for the people of Alberta, the people of British Columbia, people of Canada, Mr. Speaker. Congratulations to our Premier for getting this over the line, Mr. Speaker. A great project indeed.
Order. The Honourable Member for Calgary-Acadia.
Mr. Speaker, 'tis the season of winter gathering, bringing the usual germs. But what families face now is not usual. Thousands of Albertans lack access to a family doctor, long emergency wait, and children packed into classrooms. Kids are getting sicker than they should. Preventable diseases continue to resurface, flagging a need for immediate action, and yet this government, crickets. To the Minister, why has the government failed to set Alberta's kids up for success? Why hasn't the government ensured that everyone who is able to get vaccinated has and stays healthy?
The Honourable Minister for Preventative Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In fact, we have made sure that our immunization program is up and running for the respiratory virus season. It's unfortunate that the flu vaccine is mismatched with the current strain that is out and prevalent within society. But, Mr. Speaker, we're continuing to make sure that everyone who wants the flu vaccine has access to the flu vaccine, as well as COVID, as well as RSV. Mr. Speaker, nothing has changed in regards to the flu vaccine, and it is available to all Albertans.
Honourable Member.
Given that Albertans now have to pay for access to the same vaccines, and given the season should be about bringing comfort, and given that more families than ever are using the food bank, and given families are struggling to afford winter coats, groceries, and school lunches, and given this government raised fees, cut child subsidy, and let costs climb so high that many children won't have anything under the tree this year, Mr. Speaker. Why would the government make it even harder for families who are struggling just to make ends meet? Why introduce a two-tiered for-profit health care that is going to increase costs to them?
Yeah.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, nothing could be further from the truth because, in fact, the member opposite is misinforming the public. If we look at the number of flu vaccines that have been administered in the last 6 weeks since the public campaign, in 2025 there's been 820,000 approximately. In 2024, roughly about 850,000. We are seeing the same uptake as we did last year, Mr. Speaker. It's unfortunate that the flu vaccine is mismatched, but Mr. Speaker, we're ready for the influenza season.
The member.
Given this season should remind us to take care of one another, and given kids in Alberta cannot access mental health care when they need it. There aren't enough counsellors, there are not enough clinics. And given families sit on long wait lists, watching their kids struggle because most families cannot pay for additional services. And given this government continues to spin tales of private access providing public services to the minister, since kids cannot access the care they deserve, what does that say about the government's priorities, and when will Albertans' children come first?
Good question.
Point of order was noted at 2:34. The minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Alberta's children have always come first. They will always come first, and I still wear the Alberta Children's First always, because, in fact, Mr. Speaker, I do recall when I was the Minister of Education that we increased mental health supports for our children post-COVID, and those were expanded by the current minister. We also have CASA that is now providing additional mental health supports, Mr. Speaker. We're going to continue to make sure that our children are set up for success, and, Mr. Speaker, we are seeing results.
Hear, hear. Members. The minister, when you point at your button, that makes it a prop. You can't do that. The next question goes to the member for Calgary-Bennington.
With all the attention on the UCP's disrespect for teachers, failure to address current classroom conditions, and lack of planning to build the schools Albertans need, there has been little attention left for one of the UCP's favorite measures of an education system, standardized tests. The results for last year's PATs are in, and wow, are they something. Can the Minister of Education please enlighten us on just how well the UCP's new K-6 curriculum performed on the PATs?
The Honourable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What we see in many of our PATs is a continuing strength with respect to score improvement from COVID-19, of course. During that time, jurisdictions, of course, here in Alberta, but across Canada and around the world, experienced some significant decline in testing. We continue to see measures improve in some areas, parallel to that seen in pre-COVID times. There's still, of course, these are important results that we still need to evaluate and make sure that every student is set up for success in the best possible way.
The honourable member.
Given that when it comes to grade 6 English language arts, the number of students achieving the acceptable standard dropped 10%, the number of students achieving excellence dropped 7%, and the number of students rated below acceptable increased to a shocking 20% of students. Given that the grade 9 tests with a curriculum untouched by this government saw no such dramatic changes, to the minister, is it the students, the teachers, or is it in fact this government's failed curriculum that has caused this dramatic drop in literacy rates?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister.
I have to be honest, I find it incredibly rich that the member just stood to talk about literacy when their entire caucus stood and voted against Bill 6 that would have supported literacy and numeracy in our province. We won't be deterred, however, Mr. Speaker. Part of the reason that we introduced Bill 6 is to make sure that our education system is focused on strengthening literacy and numeracy as a #1 priority for all students to ensure that they can excel. I believe the members opposite should be ashamed that they don't support literacy and numeracy strength in Alberta students.
The Honourable the member.
Given that if you thought those literacy rates were bad, you best hold on to your hat for the math scores. Given that grade 6 students achieving an acceptable standard in math dropped a staggering 16%, and now nearly 40% of Alberta students are performing at below acceptable levels in math. Shame. Given that teachers have been raising red flags about this curriculum since its implementation, will the minister apologize to teachers for once again failing to listen to their concerns?
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, we're listening very closely to the concerns of our teachers, educators, and other professionals. That's precisely why our government has approved over 150 school projects since 2019. Under the NTP, only 46 school projects were approved. We've also increased funding to our education system by over 11.7%. That exceeds total investments made by the NDP while they were in office. In addition, we have provided increased funding to support mental health needs and to other specialized programming to ensure students have those supports.
The member for Grand Prairie.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Northern Alberta faces unique challenges when it comes to healthcare access and delivery, particularly in attracting and retaining medical professionals. These challenges impact families and communities across our region, making collaboration essential to finding sustainable solutions. Could the Minister of Primary and Preventative Health Services share how she is working collaboratively with communities in our region to address these challenges and strengthen local healthcare capacity?
The Honourable Minister of Preventative Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the member for the question. I was proud to join the members from Grand Prairie and Grand Prairie-Wapiti this summer to engage with local health professionals and celebrate the launch of the University of Alberta's Northern Alberta Medical Program in partnership with Northwestern Polytechnic. So these members advocated hard for these projects, and because of them, this incredible initiative is now a reality. This program is a game changer for northern communities. It will train physicians closer to home and create pathways for students who want to serve in rural Alberta.
Honourable member.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the Minister for that. Now, given the growing demand for additional health care capacity in Northern Alberta, and given that our government has introduced initiatives like the Rural and Remote Family Medicine Resident Physician Bursary and new payment models to support nurse practitioners, could the Minister please outline how these measures will help strengthen primary care in rural and remote communities across our province?
The Minister.
Mr. Speaker, strengthening primary care in rural Alberta starts with keeping talent right here at home. That's why we launched the $16 million Rural and Remote Family Medicine Resident Physician Bursary Program to support residents who commit to practicing in rural remote communities after their training. We expect about 90 family physicians to begin practicing in these areas. In addition, we've introduced a payment model for nurse practitioners so they can provide comprehensive care, and these steps ensure Albertans, no matter where they live, have access to quality care right here close to home.
The member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, given that Albertans are touched by long-term chronic health conditions, or many of them are, and as well as people in my constituency have told me stories, whether they are supporting a loved one or managing those challenges themselves, and given that in my own family, my grandfather spent over a decade on dialysis, during which healthcare workers provided exceptional care, can the Minister of Primary and Preventative Health Services explain what measures our government is taking to help northern residents on dialysis and with complex health needs?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government has invested $2.4 million in the new Sargent Family Kidney Care Centre in Grand Prairie, and I know the members pushed really hard to get the project over the finish line. Mr. Speaker, in a new era of care, we're finding innovative solutions to complex health challenges right across our province. I'm extremely proud of the work our members are doing on this side of the aisle to, in fact, Mr. Speaker, make sure that their communities have the projects and the resources and services that they really need in those communities. Thank you.
Okay. Honourable members, please remain in your seats. Last week, as the after question period, the honourable member from Lesser Slave Lake was leaving. He said something loudly into the House. I don't know the full words of it, but it included the word racist. The honourable member needs to, and whether you want to deny that or not, you said something loudly. You don't get to do that. You need to apologize and withdraw in this House.
I did not say racist. I apologize and withdraw. I said
tough but fair.
Thank you, honourable member. I appreciate that very much. 30 seconds, we will carry on with the daily routine. Continue. Okay.
Presenting reports by standing and special committees. Presenting petitions. Notices of motions.
The Minister of Jobs, Economy, Trade and Immigration.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to give oral notice of several government motions. First, Government Motion 22, sponsored by myself, which reads as follows. Be it resolved that when further consideration of Bill 9, Protecting Alberta's Children Statutes Amendment Act 2025 is resumed, not more than 1 hour shall be allotted to any further consideration of the bill in third reading, at which time every question necessary for the disposal of the bill at this stage shall be put forthwith. Government Motion 23, sponsored by myself, which reads as follows. Be it resolved that when further consideration of Bill 11, Health Statutes Amendment Act 2025 No. 2 is resumed, not more than 1 hour shall be allotted to any further consideration of the bill in third reading, at which time every question necessary for the disposal of the bill at this stage shall be put forthwith. Government Motion 24, sponsored by myself, which reads as follows. Be it resolved that when further consideration of Bill 14, Justice Statutes Amendment Act 2025 is resumed, not more than 1 hour shall be allotted to any further consideration of the bill in second reading, at which time every question necessary for the disposal of the bill at this stage shall be put forthwith. Government Motion 25, sponsored by myself, which reads as follows. Be it resolved that when further consideration of Bill 14, Justice Statutes Amendment Act 2025 is resumed, not more than 1 hour shall be allotted to any further consideration of the bill in Committee of the Whole, at which time every question necessary for the disposal of the bill at this stage shall be put forthwith. And finally, Government Motion 26, sponsored by myself, which reads as follows. Be it resolved that when further consideration of Bill 14, Justice Statutes Amendment Act 2025 is resumed, not more than 1 hour shall be allotted to any further consideration of the bill in third reading, at which time every question necessary for the disposal of the bill at this stage shall be put forthwith.
Introduction of bills. Tabling returns and reports.
Tablings. Member for St. Albert.
Mr. Speaker, I have 5 copies of Alberta's Doctor Digest. The title is Pushing Back Against Changes That Make Life Harder for Disabled Albertans.
Member for Edmonton West Henday.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have the requisite copies of 4 documents here. One is a press release titled Confederacy of Treaty No. 6 First Nations Applauds Court Decision on Separation Question. The second document is that states titled Blackfoot Confederacy Chief Society Welcomes Court Decision Protecting Treaty Rights. The third document is titled Treaty 8 First Nations of Alberta Respond to Court Ruling Declaring Alberta Independence Referendum Question Contravenes Section 35, all from December 5th, 2025. And then I also have a court decision here which identifies that an independent Alberta would contravene the numbered treaties and First Nations are founding partners in the creation of Alberta from Justice Feasby from December 5th, 2025.
Efficient with the tablings. Edmonton Glenora.
I have my Christmas card to table in the House today and want to thank Elliot, a grade 3 student, for doing the beautiful art that's on it and wish all of you, through you, Mr. Speaker, and directly a neutral third party, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays to all.
Cypress Medicine Hat.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to table a Wall Street Journal article titled Europe's Green Energy Rush Slashed Emissions but Crippled the Economy.
Five copies of an email from my constituent Adele MacDonald, and she is urging the UCP to not pass the undemocratic Bill 12 Financial Statutes Amendment Act and is concerned about them mismanaging our pensions as they often do.
Honourable member for Edmonton McClung.
Speaker, I rise to table 5 requisite copies of 3 different tablings. First one is from 16 different constituents who are opposing private health care policy by the government. Secondly, people who are opposed to ADAP proposed by the government, and also constituents who are concerned about the CPP disappearing into a Alberta pension plan.
Are there any? Yes, there is. Edmonton Riverview.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have academic paper by concerned students of the University of Lethbridge regarding Bill 9 and the UCP's cavalier use of the notwithstanding clause.
Any more tablings? Seeing none.
Tablings to the clerk. I wish to advise the Assembly that the following document was deposited with the office of the clerk. On behalf of the Honourable Mrs. Sawney, Minister of Indigenous Relations, Premier's Council on Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls and Two-Spirited Plus People 2023-2024 Annual Reports.
Okay, now we are at points of order, and the first one was called at 2 o'clock by the, what side looking here, the Government House Leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. At 2 o'clock I rose when the Leader of the Opposition was asking, I believe it was his third question, or at some point, and he said, according to my unofficial records, we've officially earned the upside down, entered rather the upside down when the Premier and her love for chemtrails, anti-vax conspiracy theories calls other people conspiracy theorists. So, Mr. Speaker, there's a couple things that are problematic with this. First off, the member opposite, Leader of the Opposition, is presupposing what the Premier does or does not love. We don't do that in this House. I do believe that's a point of order. We've set that precedence already in the past, unless I misunderstood or my records are incorrect. Second thing is, we have a lot of examples of saying things like, the tinfoil hat on again. That was said to the Premier on March 27th of this year.
For your submission, the Opposition House Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In this instance, the Leader of the Official Opposition was responding to the Premier, who had referred to NDP conspiracies, and he responded in an unparliamentary way. He should have referred to the UCP government conspiracies, mirroring the Premier's language. I will chat with him, and in the meantime, I will apologize and withdraw on his behalf.
Thank you. The second point of order was called at or near 2:09 p.m. by the Opposition House Leader.
Thank you very much. 23 HI&J, very similar point of order to the one we just heard, Mr. Speaker. I do not have the benefit of the blues, but I heard at 2:09 the Justice Minister starting to muse about that member doesn't like the citizen initiative process. The member was certainly asking questions about the citizen initiative process, but talking about what members like, do not like, leads to personalization. I do not have the benefit of the blues, so perhaps the member will apologize and withdraw it. If not, I look forward to your ruling.
Government side, any comment?
Just do it. Just withdraw. Skip it.
Mr. Speaker, I don't have the benefit of the blues. Like my point of order, I think it'd be wrong to presuppose what someone does or doesn't like. But I don't have the benefit of the blues. So I'm going to listen to what your records are and then go from there. But I don't believe the member was out of order, but I leave it, I anxiously await what the blues have to say on this matter.
Here's what they say. This was what was said in the House. The member doesn't like citizen initiative process. And we all know we don't get to say what some other member likes or doesn't like, so that's clearly a point of order. Very similar to the first point of order that was just withdrawn and apologized for.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I apologize and withdraw.
Okay, well, both sides agree that that's not in order. So the point of order number 3 was called at 2:34 p.m. by the Opposition House Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is similar, but under 23 HI&J, similar but more serious. At that time, the Minister of Health said that the member opposite is misinforming the public. Misinforming the House or the public is equated to lying. We cannot do indirectly what we cannot do directly. Calling another member in this chamber a liar is absolutely unparliamentary. I would ask that the minister apologize and withdraw.
The government side?
I apologize and withdraw. Speaker.
Indeed, and that was the proper thing to do. And that brings us to the end of question period and brings us to orders of the day. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to request the unanimous consent of the Assembly to waive Standing Order 8.1 to proceed immediately to government business.
Members, the Government House Leader has moved to go straight to government business under 8.1. It needs unanimous consent, so the only question that I will ask, does anyone disagree? Those standing by the door don't count, but there was other people also that disagreed, and so that motion is not carried.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Disappointing, because I would have loved to chat more about Bills 9 and 11 during government business, but if that's not happening, then I do move that the Assembly be adjourned until 7:30 p.m. this evening.
Is it? I think we can all agree this is somewhat unusual, so I consulted with. So what I've learned, or confirmed, I guess, is that the motion is in order and it's not debatable. We're going straight to the vote. The motion has been made to adjourn until 7:30 tonight. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. No. The ayes have it. A division is called. Ring the bells. Honourable members, there is a motion by the Honourable Government House Leader to adjourn the House until 7:30 this evening. All those in favour, please now stand.
The Honourable Mr. Sigurdsson, the Honourable Mr. Nicolaides, the Honourable Ms. Schultz, the Honourable Mr. Williams, the Honourable Mr. Glubish, the Honourable Minister Lagrange, the Honourable Mr. Horner, the Honourable Mr. Scow, the Honourable Mr. Ellis, the Honourable Mr. Amory, the Honourable Mr. Neudorf, the Honourable Mr. Lowen, the Honourable Mr. Wilson, the Honourable Mr. Jean, the Honourable Mr. Dreesen, the Honourable Mr. Nixon, Mr. Wright, Mr. Rosewell, the Honourable Mr. Turton, the Honourable Mr. Yassine, the Honourable Ms. Furr, the Honourable Mr. Jones, the Honourable Mrs. Sawney, the Honourable Mr. Hunter, the Honourable Mr. Nally, the Honourable Mr. Long, the Honourable Mr. McDougall, the Honourable Mr. Wojchenko, Mr. Stefan, Mr. Van Dyken, Ms. Pitt, Mr. Sear, Mrs. Johnson, Mr. Weed, Mrs. Sawyer, Mr. Getson, Mrs. Petrovic, Mr. Lunty, Mr. Yao, Mr. Dick, the Honourable Ms. Armstrong-Hominack, Ms. de Jong, Mr. Bouchard, Mr. Singh, Ms. Lovely.
All those opposed to the motion to adjourn till 7:30, please now stand.
Member Al-Maliki, Member Arkan Paul, the Honourable Mr. Sabir, the Honourable Member Hoffman, Mr. Haji, the Honourable Mr. Egan, the Honourable Ms. Gray, Ms. Pancholi, Member Ellingson, Member Callahoo Stonehouse, Ms. Sweet, Ms. Wright, Mr. Sinclair, the Honourable Mr. Guthrie, Ms. Renault, Ms. Chapman, Member Hoyle, Member Eremenko, Mr. Kozowski, the Honourable Ms. Ganley, Member Gurinder Brar, Mr. Ip, Member Irwin, Member Batten, Member Tejada, Member Beaupre, the Honourable Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Diol, Mr. Gutej Brar, Ms. Laurie, the Honourable Ms. Laurie Sigurdsson, Ms. Goring, Mr. Dack, Dr. Metz.
Mr. Speaker, total for the motion 45, total against 33.
That motion is carried. The House is adjourned until 7:30 p.m. tonight.